Record. So, welcome everyone to the Friday morning book group. And we are so happy to see all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a great group today, and we're going to discuss The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, a classic in its own right. And I will say a few words. I'm not going to talk too much. There is so much to say about this book. We don't have that much time. I do see a couple more people come in. Let me just admit them. Linda is here and Trisha is here. Hi, Linda. Hi, Trisha. So I don't want to say too much because we only have this window of time with Zoom and they'll cut me out. But just a few words, as I usually do, a little bit about the author. Toni Morrison was born in 1931 in Lorain, Ohio, which is where much of the book takes place. And as we know, as many of us know, that race issues are at the heart of many of her books, most of her books, as it is at the heart of this book. And just a couple of little known tidbits. When she was a toddler, her home was set afire by racists while she was still in the house. The family was still in the house, and they survived. It was pretty horrible. And in 1970, when she wrote the book, the racist society in America was still very much in place. We had made some gains, but obviously not too many. And so she was writing in a time of great upheaval. And I think that was very influential on her. The Bluest Eye, we witness a young girl's yearning for acceptance, love, and escape from her life of abuse and turmoil. And she prays for the the blue eyes of a white girl. And she connects the idea of beauty. She thinks the blue eyes and blonde hair is so beautiful. She connects that with being loved. And what she really wants is just to be loved and accepted. For instance, at Christmas, she gets these dolls that she hates and she kind of dismembers them because that's not what she wants. She wants someone to ask her how she feels and to care about her. So her language is lyrical and graceful and beautiful and very subtle, but very powerful. I found it very, very powerful. And it tells really a small story within a larger framework of this atmosphere of cruelty and intolerance and hatred that was going on in the Jim Crow South when she grew up. So she really has lived the experience that she's writing about. So I think I've probably said enough. And I'd love to hear from you. And as everyone knows, you're welcome to speak or not speak. If you want to just listen, absolutely perfectly fine. We love to have you. So if someone would like to speak, you can just unmute yourself and raise your hand. Let's see. Let's see if I put me. All right.
Yeah, I don't think you can see everybody.
Yeah. Tom, did you raise your hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
But what I have to say is kind of a have to say because I was confused through most of this. I can't say that I liked the book. It was really difficult for me to read it. I resonated with some of the things in it, but I didn't follow the story at all. I just started reading the Wikipedia summary this morning, like just to try to glue it together a little bit.
Yeah. So you found it difficult to understand.
I did. There was a few sub passages that I resonated heavily with, though, toward the end. The Whitcomb brothers and talking about some of that stuff, I really kind of the guy who, became a fake healer.
Mhm.
I really I like that. There was little subsections that I enjoyed very much, and then
Okay.
the rest just kind of like what.
What's going on here? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I know I appreciate that. I think probably maybe others of you have felt the same way. And I think that speaks to the idea that she is telling these small stories within this larger context.
Uh-huh.
And each story, at least for me, each story um, had some little uh, parcel of the ideas that she was trying to get across through the small story. She's very subtle, and but obviously the main theme being of the beauty of blue eyes, and also using the child's primer continually, the Jane
Yeah.
stick and all that, using the child's primer to show the disparity, I think, between how whites were treated and how other people were treated. And the primer spoke only to the white society, and other people had no idea what that was all about because they couldn't live it. So I think a lot of those things are metaphors and maybe a little bit more difficult to understand. But I appreciate your comment. Thank
Thank you.
you. Anyone else would like to speak?
It's Trisha. Oh,
Trisha, yes. Hi, welcome.
do you think this is a woman's book more than a man's book? I mean, I really identified with the girl profoundly. Yeah, and I wonder, Tom said it was hard for him to catch this and resonate with it, and yeah, so I wonder if it's really a woman's book. No, it can't be just a woman's book because it's about racial issues.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But perhaps it appeals to women more. I'm not sure. I hadn't thought about that.
Another thing I found fascinating was that just last week here at LaSalle Village, they screened remotely on our in-house channel Cider House Rules, in the middle of which there is another Black incest event, and the language that the father used really is very much like the language that Charlie uses on page 161. Just a mixture of love, hate, attraction, revulsion. They knew they were doing something wrong but couldn't help themselves somehow.
Right. Yeah. Do you want me to find that 161? We can read it.
Well, it's when Charlie sees her.
Oh, I see. Yeah, his revulsion.
Yeah.
Reaction to her young, helpless, hopeless presence.
Yeah. And then
yeah.
Guilt and impotence rose in a bilious duet. What could he do for her ever? What give her? What say to her? And so forth.
Yeah.
And how dare she love him? They're all feeling unworthy, unloved, unaccepted.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the other part that just really tore my heart out was when her mother, on page 123, talks about going to the movies. It's the only place she could.
Yeah. She could find some peace, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, after her education in the movies.
Yeah, but there she is, being intrigued by Jean Harlow. I mean, could there be possibly be a more opposite image?
Exactly. And she wanted to do her hair up like Jean Harlow before she went. And then she pulled her tooth out on the candy.
Yeah.
And then she was like, what am I doing here? And she kind of like spiraled down.
The violence that comes, I don't know, it's a very discomforting book.
yeah, it is. It is. It is. I hope people weren't too upset by it. I feel like her language is just so unique and beautiful, though. It kind of transcends all that. But good, good. Well, thank you so much, Trisha. Anyone else like to speak? Oh, Pam.
Unmute. Um, so this is the first Toni Morrison book I've read because friends have read it. They said they're really hard to read, and so I have always not wanted to go there. So I'm really glad you chose this book.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I listened and read it in print, but I had 6 hours in a car last weekend, and it's read by Toni Morrison, and it is totally amazing. And when I moved to the print, there are all those little parts where all the words are together and you're supposed to read them fast, and sometimes you can't even understand what they say.
Right.
He says them, you understand completely. She's talking really fast, but it's sort of an amazing experience.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I think her language is astounding. It's just
Too.
so beautiful and expressive. I was blown away.
I am so with you. Yeah, I too listened to the book, and I felt like I would listen to it again just to, you could understand everything, as Pam said, everything. And I did not read it. I read portions, but I did listen to the whole thing, and it blew me away. The language, I loved it.
The one other thing I wanted to say is that it's a very particular story about particular characters, but it is so universal in describing racism and the Black culture of that time. And I was thinking about, could this or would this be written 50 years later? I mean, how would it be written? What's the story now? It was different, that long ago.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was different. Unfortunately, a lot of it is the same in parts of the country, or close to the same. Certainly we've made progress, but I really think, you see what just happened in Georgia with that young man who was shot. There are certainly many places where, unfortunately, things haven't changed a whole lot. But I would be interested to read one of her most recent books, to see kind of the difference, because I too was not too familiar with her writing, and I was just thrilled. Another aside, Pam was kind enough to alert me to the New Yorker. February 2020 has an article, a very long article, excellent, about Toni Morrison. If any of you, I don't think I'd be able to send that, but if you could get your hands on it, I'm sure it's very worthwhile.
It's the February 3rd edition, and it's actually half of it is completely about the bluest eye.
Oh, wow.
So I really recommend it.
Okay. I'll try after the meeting. I'll see if I can somehow get it and send it to you. But if I can't, the New Yorker is tough. They're very proprietary. So I'll see what I can do.
I know I just signed up for RB Digital, which is through the website, and you can get the full issue that way, but
oh, great.
You have to jump through a lot of hoops. I don't know if you can send that link to let us on, but
oh yeah, I will try to do that. I will try to do that. Thank you. We have so many new offerings digitally that it's hard to keep up with all of them, but I'll be happy to look into that. Thank you. Great. All right. Thank you so much, Pam. Do I have any other people who would like to speak?
This is Abby. Can you see
Abby.
me?
Yes, of course.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Abby. Thank you.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So this is the first time I ever read one of her books as well. I was blown away. Like Pam said, and you said, her language, she can make you see something in 2 sentences that I think a normal person would take 2 pages to write. I just, the language was just beautiful. So, but here's the thing. So I love the book. I absolutely loved it. And thank you for suggesting it.
Okay.
So I agree with everything that everybody says on the surface. It's about race and all of those things. But for me, I thought it was about love. And all the different types of like how people try to get love. Because she talks about the prostitutes and how interesting is that? Like they're, equating maybe sex with, love that they couldn't get. And I thought, Choli, when he basically rapes his daughter, which was a very tough passage for me to read at the end. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can get through this part.
Yeah.
But that also, I thought in a just this very disturbing way, obviously, was some kind of a love, all about, she talks about relationships, like all the relationships of people and how they interact. And I even thought in the beginning when the girl gets her period, and the sister takes her, and she's helping her put on a pad for the first time and everything. Again, it's just the love for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I also thought that, like you said, yes, it takes place within an African American community, a specific time period, but that if you look deeper, like you said, Deborah, it's still, things like that are still happening, whether it's in the African American community, the Muslim community, the Jewish, with just white people. I mean, things like that are still happening, and people are still trying to find love. And even, I can't remember the girl's name, Choli's daughter, I think it was Choli's daughter, right? She works for the white family, and they go to pick up the laundry, the girls, and she spills the pie, and the mother's consoling the little girl, her love for that little girl. Again, to me, the theme just kept coming up over and over again, in my opinion, of love. What forms does love take? I really enjoyed the book. Thank you so very much for recommending it.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear your comments. The love theme, I totally agree. And I of course marked, as usual, my many pages. But she says, and this is relation to the blue eyes, of course. So Piccola thought some time ago that if her eyes, those eyes that held the pictures, if those eyes of hers were different, that is to say, if they were beautiful, she would be different, and implying she would be loved.
Right.
She would be
exactly.
Loved.
Right.
And she says her teeth were good. At least her nose was not big and flat like some others. If she looked different, beautiful, maybe Jolie would be different. Maybe Mrs. Breedlove would. So she thinks if she were different, maybe they would be a real family with love and caring, and she thinks the blue eyes are going to make it.
And don't you think that's true of life? Like so many of us, we put on ourselves, and maybe more women than men, that if we somehow could do something different or be different, life would be different. We take that on ourselves a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's inbred still in so many of us, and I don't think it has to do with race,
Yeah. Well, the author says at one point in the book, I can't remember where, that, or it might have been in one of the reviews I read, that why do women in particular have to be beautiful or look good to be accepted? That's wrong, she says. That's wrong, but that's quite a.
And we're still there.
We're still there. We're still there.
Yeah,
we still care about that very much.
Yes.
Right.
Which young girl can you think of is happy with herself?
Exactly. Without doing nothing. Exactly. Not many.
I have two young girls, and it breaks my heart You know, I have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old, and it breaks my heart when they tell me things like that, you know, and it's still there. Yeah.
Of course, of course. It's hard, but I think, as you say, Abby, with enough love and support and foundation, you know, you can transcend that with your girls. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Let's see. I see you guys. Nobody's raising their hand. Let's see. We probably have 10 more minutes. Oh, Trisha.
Yeah, I have something else to say. I also read, I'm going to get it just a sec. I think it was last week, I read this book, Days Without End by Sebastian Barry.
Okay.
It's also written in a kind of patois language, but it's also very beautiful. I'm not sure I would necessarily recommend it as a book group book, but it just struck me that having read The Bluest Eye, which is in a different kind of language, a different kind of syntax and vocabulary.
Sure.
And then reading this in contrast, this is a couple of Irish boys in the mid 1800s and having their adventures and misadventures in the American West. It's kind of a fascinating book, and there's a sequel to it, which I've just gotten, called The Thousand Moons. Just a drop in the pond there.
Yeah, no, thank you. I love to hear about new titles. That's great. That's great. I actually was, unless someone has their hand up, I will, in relation to The Bluest Eye, and I was thinking to possibly do a book by Lucy Greeley called The Anatomy of a Face. I don't know if anybody has ever read it. So Lucy Greeley was best friends with Anne Patchett, who wrote The Dutch House and many other wonderful books. And she had a severely disfigured face and like dozens of operations, and how she got through that and how she lived her life and so forth with this, you know, people always looking at her that, you know, something was wrong with her. They could never, she had I don't remember what the issue was, but she had lots of surgeries. And I thought that kind of ties into, you know, will I be loved if I don't look like everybody else, you know?
So Deborah, Anne Patchett wrote the book Truth and Beauty.
Yes.
About Lucy Greeley, and actually, when I read both of those in tandem, and I really recommend it. And they're both short books.
Yes, you just reminded me. Truth and Beauty. I read that years ago. Thank you. They do go together. Thank you very much. We could do that. I mean, I would love. This is going off tangent a little bit, but I don't know how many you have read Anne Patchett's most recent book, which is The Dutch House. Has anybody read it?
No.
It's fantastic. And the audio, for those of you who like to listen, the audio is narrated by Tom Hanks. And he is fantastic. He does all the voices, and as usual, he's great. So if anybody's interested in that. But, well, good. Okay, let's see. So anything else?
I have a question.
Sure.
What is Toni Morrison's most recent book?
Good question.
I'm just trying to look it up.
Yep. I had it here. Let's see. Find it. Oh, here we go.
Okay, here we go. Okay, Beloved was written in 1987.
I have read I have read quite a few of her books, actually.
Oh, okay. So Paradise was recent, and then in 2003 she published Love, her first novel in 5 years, and in 2008 she published A Mercy, and maybe that was the last one. It's possible that that was the last one.
Thank you.
So I haven't read any of those, but yeah. So yeah, there's lots.
I have read Love.
Sorry, Anne. Oh, Anne.
I have read quite a few, actually. This is the
Oh.
second time I read The Bluest Eye.
Oh,
I
wonderful.
read Beloved and saw the movie. That's very disturbing.
Oh.
Oprah Winfrey is in the movie,
Oh.
and
Okay.
it's about a ghost that lives in the house, because I think the mother has killed her newborn or something, and so the newborn is the ghost. It's really tough reading. And
Oh.
I've read Song of Solomon,
Uh-huh.
Sula, and Tar Baby,
Did you like Song of Solomon?
but I didn't. I don't remember what it was about.
Yeah. Okay, that's all right.
The copy of The Bluest Eye I have, there's a foreword written by Toni Morrison in 2006.
Uh-huh.
Do people have that in the paperback? It's a very interesting foreword. It says, she would have written it maybe a little
Yes.
differently
Oh,
from
yeah.
1970.
There is a forward, and I have
Yeah,
not read it
yeah.
yet. I
Yeah.
will
I read it twice. I read it at the beginning, read it at the end.
Yeah,
It's very informative.
I should read
Oh.
that at the end. That's smart.
Excellent. I will definitely
Yeah.
read that. Yeah.
I very often go back to the beginning of the book, because when you start it, you don't know what's happening, and then you
Right.
get to the end and you think, oh. And I almost always go back to the beginning.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
That's smart. That's really smart. I'm
Good
going to do that.
idea. Good idea. That's great. Well,
It's
thank
sometimes
you.
hard to get into a book like this one,
Yeah.
and once you
Yeah.
get into it and get rolling, then
Yeah.
going back, you can figure out the characters better.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to be I think the word is auditory, an auditory type person to be able to listen. If you are, then I highly recommend, because you somehow, with the language, and I think Pam said this, with the language and the dialect, it's much easier to understand this in a narration. And her voice is just so beautiful. It's just like velvet. It's really lovely. So if anyone likes to listen, I highly recommend that. And then I will say, go ahead.
It's like listening to Trevor Noah.
I haven't
The
listened
book.
to him.
Oh, he's a riot.
Huh.
We've read the book, right? Did we
have
read the book?
Not for the book group. Not for the book group.
Oh, okay. It was my other book. We read it for the other book group.
Born a Crime.
It's Born a Crime.
Yeah. I haven't read it yet.
It's a great book.
Oh.
Well, if you listen to his voice, it's hysterical.
Oh.
It's also
Thank
very
you.
sad, but
Yeah.
he's a comedian.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I'll look for it. So let's see. Would anyone else, Irene or Tanya or Joan or anyone, or Linda, any of you guys would like to say anything? Tanya. Just, you have to unmute.
What I learned from this book is the injustice and the intolerance of people, and how people don't change. Even now, like you said, what happened in Georgia again.
Right.
So it takes history, and it doesn't get better. It doesn't really get so much better. I'm hoping that people will kind of learn from instances and change the ways they are, because the intolerance, we went through a war, so we know what intolerance is.
Of course.
That's what I learned from that book.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's so prevalent. We think we have made strides and made progress, and then something like that happens in Georgia, and we were reminded that not so much has changed. So, yeah, thank you so much, Tanya. And anyone else? Joan or Irene or Linda? No? Okay. No, no worries. So I would like to say for next time, I'd like to do A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. The reason I picked that, two reasons. It is a great book. And secondly, it is a book that you can get on Hoopla without any holds. I tried to find a book that you could get because obviously you can't go to the library and get a book. So if you do digital books, certainly if many people have that book in their home and that's great. But if you don't and you go to Hoopla, you can get the ebook and the audiobook on Hoopla, both. And then you can read it on your phone or your iPad or whatever you have. So that should work. And I think we'll meet 2 weeks from today. And then we'll have to see because we don't know yet what's going to happen. We may be opening after that. We're just not sure yet. So that's where we are right now, like everybody else, indecision on the future. So
Deborah, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I'm working from home and trying to keep my family well. I have frontline workers in my family, so I worry about them a lot, and I hope they stay safe. But they're all so devoted and dedicated, and not just my frontline, all of them. They're amazing. These people on the front lines. And I've actually been doing some work to help out. I've been making the shields that the frontline workers wear. There's a way to get involved in that. If anybody is interested, you can email me and I can send you the information. You make them from home and you don't need any tools at all. It is time consuming. They send you a whole kit, and to make 100, there's 120 shields. It takes a good few days, but it's a good project. You feel like you're contributing and doing something worthwhile. So I've been doing that and, getting out. But has anybody else like to talk about what they've been doing? Okay, that's fine. I hope everybody's well. I just want everyone to stay well, and we will get through this. I think we will have a new normal, but we will have a normal. We will get used to a new normal. And I think we will have the library again, and we'll have book group again. And I think it will happen. It'll just be a little bit different. So I certainly look forward to it, and I hope you guys do. But so I don't want it to cut me out. So I got like 4 minutes here. So unless anybody else has anything else to say, I am going to close, and I hope that everyone stays well. And I will send out a Zoom link a few days before the meeting, which I believe is like May 29th. It's 2 Fridays from today. And I will send out a Zoom link for that.
Great.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Be well.
Bye. You be
Bye.
well too. Everybody be well. Thinking of you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.